Hello, committee members. Thank you for having me here. I'm Tess Ulrey. I'm the Executive Director for the Coalition for Responsible Home Education. And we are a homeschool, need to get closer, sorry. We are a homeschool alumni founded and powered organization. We work across research, programming, and advocacy to support safe and responsible homeschooling. We're a national organization, but we're very proud of the over 300 Connecticut homeschool alumni who are part of our work in board, staff, and volunteer capacities. Informed by our lived experience with homeschooling, we firmly support HB5468. Review, records, and resources are all included, and we support every component of this bill. I myself am a homeschool graduate from a state with identical regulations. As an adult, I'm an executive director. I'm an elected official in my community. I coach Girls on the Run, and I have 2 children that are excelling academically. I would argue I'm a homeschool success story. I am so glad that there are experiences like mine, but I am also realistic that there are bad outcomes. I take my role representing homeschool alumni across a spectrum of experiences very seriously, and we have a duty to ensure that we take every legislative step possible to ensure that there are outcomes like mine, but not outcomes like the homeschool alumni who reach out to us needing critical support because homeschool education and safety standards failed them. Lived experience needs to be critical when you are considering policy decisions. We are the first generation of alumni from widespread homeschooling that happened in the 90s. I thank the committee for including homeschool alumni in this conversation because we are the adults who benefited from these systems and we are the adults who were victimized by these systems. We see this effort by the committee to ensure homeschooling remains an option for children who need it, and we see it beginning a critical conversation of supporting children outside the walls of school. The children here will reflect on their experiences as adults, and I hope the legislators will listen to them then, too. Beyond lived experience, there are cases we can point to that will guide the Connecticut legislature. Notably, the Pierce and Meyer cases cited before me make clear that while the state cannot prohibit parents from choosing certain educational approaches, those choices can be reasonably regulated. The Wisconsin versus Yoder Supreme case actually addressed homeschooling head-on and calls for a balancing of parental rights against other interests. It did not hold that parents' interests were absolute or could not be regulated. CRHE believes Connecticut's current approach to homeschooling leaves a gap of misunderstanding and hostility, and without a framework, everyone loses. Non-purposeful homeschoolers, those who use loopholes like these to cover abuse and neglect, have no distinction from the purposeful homeschoolers seated behind me. Hands-off homeschooling may work for families in this room, but it will not protect Connecticut's vulnerable children. Those children are not here at the Capitol. Their parents did not bring them to testify. They are the victims of hands-off homeschooling, and it is irresponsible, as parents, as educators, and Connecticut citizens, to decide these children don't matter in these conversations. Like Representative Leeper said, the child welfare system was created in connection with the school system. The school system is not working for everyone, but homeschooling is working for a lot of people, so it's time to update our welfare system too. The safety net that Ms. Guillot described is a right for homeschooled children too. The minimal standards of reporting and accountability start to provide the rights of access to homeschooled children. Abuse happens in public schools, abuse happens in homeschooling. This is not an either-or question. Yep, it is a both and. At the core of this, lax homeschool oversight, like in Connecticut, diminishes true homeschooling.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony, Tess. Any questions for Tess? Rep. Wielander.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here today, Tess. And I had a question because what you said at the beginning, I think, is something it's important to remember that you are part of the first generation of adults that have homeschooled, and that the process of homeschooling has gone through a bit of an evolution, and there's different types of homeschooling. Speaking specifically to the proposal in front of us, are there components of this bill that would allow for homeschooling to continue, but with just a smidgen of accountability and responsibility on the parents?
Yeah. First and foremost,
Excuse me, I'm speaking to the person on the back. Thank you.
First and foremost, I think that provision of notice of intent is critical in this conversation because right now we don't even know how many children in Connecticut are homeschooled. So we are coming from a fundamentally difficult place in this conversation because nobody in this room right now can tell you how many children in this state are homeschooled. We can give you a good estimate. We can't even start a productive conversation at this current juncture. Some of the provisions in here, especially surrounding assessment, are so appealing to an alumni as well. I understand there can be pushback about that, but alumni, once they are separated from their experience and they've had an opportunity to be in the real world, we know that we would welcome those assessments. The fact you're looking at a mechanism to put in place portfolio review is absolutely incredible. I credit my homeschooling background with where I am right now. I also know that might not exactly have been measured in a public school setting. But had I had some of the ability to provide those portfolio pieces, it would have helped me understand where I measured up with my peers.
Thank you for that. And if I could have just one quick follow-up.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything in this provision, though, that would prevent homeschooling from continuing the way that a parent is choosing to exercise how they educate their child, whether it is through more hands-on or trips or a curriculum that's online or a combination thereof, and probably even more things that I'm not aware of? Is there anything in this proposal that is preventing a parent from choosing how to educate their child?
It does not. And I think an important distinction of that is thinking about what makes purposeful versus non-purposeful homeschooling. Purposeful homeschooling families, like the ones that are here today, are seriously invested in those curriculums and all of those decision-making powers. But what this does do is it halts that non-purposeful homeschooling when, even in quotations at this point, right? Homeschooling is being used to cover abuse and neglect.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Representative McGee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your testimony today. Brief question, given your experience personally and the work that you do, is there anything in this legislation that you would change or add?
I understand that the resources conversation is a tricky one to navigate between school systems and the homeschooling community. I would encourage everyone, especially with a laddered approach like the bill has as it is, to keep some of those resource pieces in. I will tell you that across all the states I work with, Connecticut is a well-resourced state. You guys have things, you have homeschool co-ops, you have sports, you have all of these things, but that is not going to fit for every single child. And so I think it truly is important to make sure the resources stay a part of this conversation. We also know now more than ever, homeschoolers move in and out of the school system. They may homeschool for a year, they go back to the school system. So if you're able to keep those resources and that productive conversation happening between families and school systems, I see a massive benefit to it.
Great, thank you.